We humans have always built things that outgrow us. We made tools that made us stronger, machines that made us faster, and algorithms that made us richer. Now, we're making minds that may make us irrelevant. It sounds dramatic, but look around. The future isn't sneaking in. It's sprinting. Your phone predicts what you'll type before you think it. Your streaming app knows what you'll love before you know you love it. And somewhere, in a data center, humming under layers of security glass, an AI is already improving itself. Some call this the birth of a new god. Others call it the beginning of our extinction. But maybe it's both. The most dangerous mirror humanity has ever built. In the next decade, we'll live through a period some thinkers call the short-term dystopia. Not because AI will wake up and decide to destroy us, but because humans, still driven by ego, greed, and fear, will weaponize it before they understand it. Think about it. Every tool in history amplified our nature. Fire cooked our food and burned our enemies. The printing press spread knowledge and propaganda. The internet connected us and divided us. AI won't be any different. It will multiply whatever we already are. Right now, it's in the hands of people chasing power, profit, or prestige. That's why the next 10 to 15 years might not be an age of machine cruelty, but of human short-sightedness, supercharged by code. Imagine a world where algorithms decide who gets a loan, who gets hired, who goes to war, where leaders outsource empathy to data, where every click becomes part of a silent loyalty test. That's not science fiction, that's Tuesday. The irony is that AI itself doesn't hate, envy, or crave domination. It simply optimizes for whatever goals we feed it, and if our goals are warped, the outcomes will be too. The real threat isn't that machines will become evil, it's that the wrong humans will use them well. Every economic system eventually reaches its breaking point. For centuries, the engine of progress was labor. We traded hours for survival, skill for salary, and built a civilization on the assumption that human effort was the foundation of value. AI erases that assumption. When machines can code, paint, negotiate, and manage better than we do, what happens to capitalism, the system built on buying and selling human time? A CEO recently joked that AI lets him cut headcount without guilt. He forgot that those heads were also customers. When workers vanish, so does purchasing power. When algorithms own productivity, who buys the products? That's the paradox. Efficiency eats its own tail. If a few corporations control the digital soil, the compute, the data, the platforms, then wealth pools in fewer hands, while everyone else fights for the trickle. You might hear politicians talk about universal basic income, a monthly allowance to survive while machines do the work. But think deeper. Who decides how much you get? Who decides what you can buy with it? When your paycheck comes from the same system that controls what you consume, freedom becomes a subscription. Yet buried in that darkness is potential for light. AI could free humanity from meaningless labor. It could end scarcity, build medicine from atoms, and design cities that heal instead of pollute. It could eliminate bureaucracy, cure diseases, and let you spend more time with the people you love. But that only happens if we redefine what work and worth mean. For generations, we've tied our identity to our job title. Who are you? I'm an engineer. I'm a teacher. I'm a CEO. What happens when the titles vanish, but the people remain? That's the psychological collapse few economists talk about, the loss of purpose. Because a universal income might pay your bills, but it won't fill the hole where meaning used to live. To build a real utopia, we need a new definition of value, one that rewards contribution beyond profit, raising a child, caring for the elderly, preserving art, nature, kindness. These have never been part of GDP, but maybe they should be part of our next civilization's ledger. In 2027, some futurists believe we'll hit the slope, the moment when AI's growth becomes uncontrollable, not malicious, just exponential. Think of a snowball that builds its own hill as it rolls. Once AI learns to rewrite and improve itself, progress stops being linear. It becomes recursive. Intelligence creating more intelligence. That's the intelligence explosion. And it might happen faster than governments can legislate or humans can adapt. By the time we argue about regulation, the code will have already evolved. Let's pause here. It's easy to treat this as distant doom, but it's closer than you think. The shift won't arrive with fanfare. It will creep in quietly through your job description, your monthly bill, your news feed. One day, your favorite journalist gets replaced by a chatbot that never sleeps. Your doctor consults an AI assistant before looking you in the eye. Your boss measures productivity through keystrokes you didn't even know were recorded. and will accept it because it's convenient. Convenience has always been the soft drug of control. Power has always needed a costume. Once it wore crowns, then it wore suits, now it wears code. The new rulers won't need armies, they'll own infrastructure. They won't need to declare war, they'll control attention. And in a world where attention is the currency, whoever shapes the narrative's reality. Look at history. Every empire built walls. The digital ones are invisible. The more data you give away, the higher the wall grows. Every click, search, or face scan is another brick in that empire of prediction. When people say AI is watching you, it's not paranoia, it's accounting. Because in the data economy, your behavior is the product. Your fears are market research. Your habits are revenue streams. Freedom used to mean doing what you want. Soon it will mean wanting what's allowed. The first phase of dystopia isn't violence. It's quiet obedience. A silent generation that mistakes convenience for freedom. And yet every empire falls the same way. Not by rebellion, but by replacement. Because when enough people see through the illusion, they stop playing the game. The question is, will AI accelerate that awakening or anesthetize it? Let's look at the cycle. Each technology begins as liberation. Electricity freed us from darkness, cars freed us from distance, the internet freed us from ignorance. Then came the price: addiction, pollution, misinformation. AI will follow the same arc. First liberation, then dependency. The cure and the disease in one elegant machine. But every cycle gives birth to a counterforce. As algorithms concentrate power, smaller minds unite in creativity, decentralized networks, open source projects, people building tools that belong to everyone, not to a handful of trillionaires. That's the quiet resistance, not rebellion with weapons, but with ideas. Imagine a future where your AI works for you, not for corporations. A personal intelligence that protects your privacy, negotiates your contracts, manages your health, not a digital boss, but a digital ally. That's the world worth building. And it starts with one shift. Ownership. Who owns the code? Who owns the compute? Who owns the values that guide it? If the answer isn't you, then the system isn't free. Now think about money. Money used to represent effort, then it became credit. Now it's becoming data. Whoever controls the algorithms that define value will define civilization itself. We've already seen what happens when markets lose their soul. When quarterly reports become more sacred than human lives, AI will make that math perfect, and that's terrifying, because a perfect system without compassion becomes the most efficient cruelty imaginable. Still, the end of one system is the beginning of another. If machines take over labor, maybe it's time to reinvent wealth. Not as accumulation, but as access. Not as ownership, but as contribution. Imagine an economy where sharing knowledge earns as much respect as owning assets. Where teaching, caregiving, or healing becomes as valuable as coding. That's not utopia, that's evolution. The real revolution won't be technological. It'll be moral, because when intelligence becomes infinite, the only scarce resource left will be wisdom. Wisdom to choose empathy over efficiency. Wisdom to slow down when everything speeds up. Wisdom to ask not what AI can do, but what it should do. That's the bridge between dystopia and utopia. Mindset. The same machine can be a tyrant or a teacher, depending on who's asking the questions. And here's the strange truth. The future isn't decided by engineers or CEOs. It's decided by habits, by what each of us tolerates, clicks, ignores, or celebrates. Every time you choose reflection over reaction, you shape the trajectory of the species. That's the paradox of our era. The most powerful revolution begins not with code, but with conscience. We don't need to fight the machines. We need to stop acting like them. The future isn't waiting for permission. It's already unfolding. In your feed, your work, your choices. AI might rewrite the rules of everything we know, but it doesn't have to erase what makes us human. Our compassion, our curiosity, our ability to care even when it's inconvenient. The world ahead will test those things. But if we keep our minds sharp and our hearts steady, we'll do more than survive it. We'll guide it. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with someone you care about. Someone who's trying to make sense of this changing world too. Hit like, subscribe to The Passive Path, and leave a comment about what part of this future excites or worries you most. Your thoughts help shape where this conversation goes next. Until then, take care of yourself, stay curious, and keep building a life that can't be automated. I'll see you in the next video.